Angular is platform agnostic and allows you to render in other platforms different from the web browser. The usage of this native element works well in the browser, however, it will fail in other platforms, or in case you want to use the same code in different environments. This is the case, for example, of server-side rendering with Angular Universal. And you shouldn't be disappointed. If you're rendering in server without DOM access, it is normal that you cannot use objects that can directly manipulate the DOM. For those situations, you can use the render service that provides an API to access DOM elements in a safe way on any platform. In fact, the renderer service has evolved with Angular 4, and now it is recommended to use the renderer 2 version that have a slightly different API. Renderer 2 is the one I will show you. The first step is to inject the renderer 2 service in my component. I inject a private renderer. Of course, I have to import it. Here is the import, the renderer2 object from Angular core. And now I only have to go to this ngAfterView init and replace those two calls from here by renderer2 API methods that allows my code to work in any platform, despite it is a browser or not. In order to add an attribute to an element, the method is this.renderer.setAttribute is almost identical to the one from native element, but I need the reference to the element. This.timeInput.nativeElement. And then the attribute I want to use, the placeholder, and of course the value of the attribute, enter seconds. Okay, so I can remove this, and now I'm doing the same thing, but using renderer. The method to the class works in a very similar way. So I can remove the native element addClass method and instead use this.renderer.addClass, and inside I need the reference of the DOM element where I want to add some class, this timeInputNative element, and then I write directly the name of the class, timeIn. Okay, so this way what I'm achieving is to make some changes on DOM elements, but in a safe way, so this code can work well on any kind of platforms. If you move to the browser, you can see that, as before, the input uses this color and it's bold. And when I remove the content, the placeholder appears as expected. This is still one moment where I'm accessing DOM in a safe way, however, when I focus the form input. So I move to the showAtTimer method in order to follow the same approach with the timeInputNativeElement focus call. In this case, I will do this.renderer. And here I use the method selectRootElement that allows me to get the reference of a DOM element, in my case this.timeInput.nativeElement, and this is returning me a safe version of the native element, so here I can safely use the focus method. I can remove the old one, and then if I move to the browser, as you can see, the input is still focused on click. The difference is that now this code can be executed in other environments than the browser, like server-side rendering or with the mechanisms Angular provides you to run all the code inside a web worker, improving the graphical performance of your app. To sum up, you have seen how to add an attribute, a class, or even use element APIs like focus in a dynamic and safe way by using the renderer2 service that have all those methods you can use over the element ref you want to manipulate.